Hello and welcome to Education Today. My name is Bill Kerr, Superintendent of Schools for the Armstrong School District. First, I'd like to thank everybody at WIUP-TV for airing this broadcast. Today we're going to talk to two outstanding Ford City High School students about their experiences as the first crew for this new TV show. We have with us Allison Bush, a senior, and we also have Brett Powers, also a senior. They and their classmates came down in early January to film a batch of 3 shows of Education Today. Allison, welcome to Education Today.
Thank you for having me.
And Brett, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Let's learn a little bit about our students today. Allison, would you like to start out and tell us a little about your background?
Well, I'm a senior at Ford City High School. I'm involved in the TV class. I'm a cheerleader and I do track. And I'm also involved in student council and class cabinet.
You're very busy and active. That's great. Brett?
Like Allison, I am also a senior at Ford City High School. And besides the TV production class, I'm involved in golf team, Leo Club, physics club, ski club, and student council.
That's wonderful. You're both outstanding role models for other students in Ford City as well as other schools in the district. Now, on taping day last month, you were both here, very active. Can you tell me what roles you had on that particular day?
Well, on the first show, I shot the behind-the-scenes footage that the board saw at their meeting. And on the second and third shows, I was Mr. Swanson's assistant in the studio room back there.
Had a lot of fun.
I did. It was a lot of fun.
It was. You had about 14 students here on the film crew.
Yeah. It was really exciting. It was a good experience.
That's great to hear. Brett, how about you?
For the first show, I was the lighting manager, and believe it or not, that is a position. And although it's not very complicated at all, it's pretty simplistic. And for the second show, I was the camera operator, which is a little more intense. You have to be on your feet and be on the top of your game to.
Absolutely. You got to be alert in all of those roles. They're all important. On that particular taping day, as we said, it was a great experience for everybody. What type of experiences had you had prior to that taping day in your local high school?
Well, we produce the morning announcements every morning, so our announcements are televised in the morning, and that goes to every room in the school. So we have a little bit of experience with camera work and mixers and stuff like that.
Okay, Brett?
Like I said, yeah, it's very similar, like Allison said, but coming to the studio was a lot different because it's more in depth and it's more of a cooperative effort than it is in our studio. It's very large and it's more of a professional studio, so it's similar, but it's not quite the same.
Do you see the two obviously working together, the experiences in the TV production classes at your high school and then coming to the district-wide studio?
Definitely. We gained a lot of knowledge using the equipment at our studio so that we could better use the equipment here.
Yes, Mrs. Keller does a really good job at teaching us the equipment and proper techniques for the camera production, video production, and using the equipment in the studio. So it was a smooth transition to work here.
That's great to hear. This is a great facility, and it's an investment not only by the community, but as you know, we had all of the camera equipment donated and all the equipment for the control room, and then along with the district funds to get the program started, it came together rather well. On that particular day, you had the various roles behind the scenes. Can you give me any examples that puts us right there as to what it really was like in that experience first time around?
Well, I was in the control room with Mr. Swanson, and he's just barking out orders, and it gets really confusing, and I know that the camera people have to work really hard to try and understand that, like they're doing right now, probably. So it's pretty intense when you're back there.
Sure. Brett?
Yeah, operating the camera was very intense. The people in the control room have headsets on, and both of the camera operators have headsets. So Mr. Swanson, who was the director during the film, he was telling us what to do. He would say, camera one, get ready, on a double shot of you, Dr. Kerr, and the other lady who was there that day. And we had to execute that shot as quickly as possible so that the other camera could get ready and position their next shot.
So all the direction that Mr. Swanson gives, it sounds as though he has high expectations, and this is the real thing. It's almost very close to what happens in the local news stations, obviously, in Pittsburgh. What was the most exciting thing you did that day? beyond what you just described? Anything that stands out that really proved to be an experience you walked away with that you really
I thought
enjoyed?
overall the experience was very fulfilling, and it was a good experience to have had because, like I said, it was a professional experience. It gave us a better outlook of what that profession is and all of the effort it takes to put a good broadcast together. And it's not as easy as it looks.
Brett, what do you think about the studio in general? The layout, the equipment?
It's compared to our studio, it's very spacious for one, and I like the idea of having the control room separate from the studio. Our studios are combined with the control room and the actual studio itself where the footage is shot. So it's nice to have two separate rooms. It's more spacious and it's just more accommodating.
Yeah,
Good,
our
good.
studio is basically like a closet converted into a studio, and we've actually had to put partitions up in Mrs. Keller's room because our equipment doesn't fit in there anymore. So it's nice coming to a studio where all 16 of us can stand in the same room at one time.
And what we're doing at each of the high schools, I think obviously we should point out for our viewers, it is also a learning experience. And those programs have been successful over the years. And for example, today Mr. Bauer's class is here from Katanning High School, serving as the film crew. And for their crew and all the other schools, both Elderton and West Shamokin, Ford City and Katanning, will probably expand on the equipment that you have and the space you have, hopefully at each of the schools, and then feed that program and enhance it so that when you get here to the district studio, it will be a smooth transition, as Brett indicated earlier. Let me just ask you to go back to some of those positions. What were some of the other positions specifically that other classmates were working?
There were sound mixer people who pay attention to the microphones and how the volume controls. And there's the person who runs the mixer who switches back from camera to camera. There's two camera people. One is a camera person, one's the lookout, like that keeps the cords together and everything. There are people that set up the lights. And then there were some extra people because we have so many people in our class.
It's my understanding, of course I was here, but Dr. Garitano said this on an earlier broadcast, that when your transportation was arriving at the end of the day, no one wanted to leave. You wanted to stay here beyond the normal time because you were having such a good time.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of
It
fun.
was a lot of fun that day. We actually watched some of the footage Mr. Swanson shot for his personal, the film industry
Yes.
he's in. That was very interesting. You know, it's the equipment here is a lot more advanced than it is in our studio, and it was just a good experience to have been able to use it and learn the equipment because, you know, every piece of equipment differs, and the more advanced the equipment is, there's more complications with it.
Sure.
So it took us a while at first, but once we had it done, it was awesome.
You made a good point, Brett. I'll just build on that, the experiences of the advanced equipment. I think that is one of the greatest advantages, coming to the main studio, working advanced equipment, having more equipment available and so forth. Let me just ask again on taping day, were there any pitfalls or bugs that you ran into that you learned from, and now the next time when you come back to actually be part of the film crew, you'll do something differently? Brett will
Yes, one
start
of the
with
major
you.
problems in our studio that we face practically every day is audio problems. We have a lot of problems with our sound, especially during the morning announcements at the
Okay.
first, like the earlier portion of the year. And when we came to the studio, we had trouble during the earlier portion of the show with the microphones, if you remember.
Yes, I
We
do.
were having a lot
Yes,
of trouble.
yes.
We probably ran, I don't know, close to 20 tests. He
I think I
made
counted
you
to 10
sit
about
there.
20
Yeah, I
times.
thought it was around there. But once you got that kink worked out, there was no other complications the rest of the day.
I think that was probably one of our, well, that was our first taping. We did 4 shows back to back, and Mr. Zish did 2, I did 2, I believe, and the first run through it, there's some basic testing of equipment, so working those bugs out. Did you run into any similar situations, Allison?
Not really. I wouldn't do anything the first show because I was just taping the behind the scenes
Sure.
footage. But the only thing I can think about is the mics, and then you and the other guests just getting used to being on camera and knowing what camera to look at and when. Like, just getting oriented, I guess.
Sure. We, we take great pride in the program because we do see it as an educational benefit and an opportunity for all of our students across the district and each of our high schools. Terminology that day might have been new to you? Truck right, truck left, headroom. What are some of those terminologies or vocabularies that came to be new to you that day?
Well, trucking is basically moving from side to side with the camera.
Okay.
Dollying, forward dolly, is moving forward with the camera, and a backward dolly is moving backward with the camera. And a pan shot is scanning the whole range of view. And that is pretty much the full scope of all the jargon for the camera positioning.
Sure.
And then there's different shots like 3-shot, 2-shot, close-up, extreme close-up, mid-shot, stuff like that, where he's just barking out the orders and you have to get it quick.
Got to be on top of your toes, huh? Top of the game. Let me ask you this, just thinking about your background. You've come a long way. Last session, you're behind the scenes, the film crew. Now you're on the set. Before long, you'll be hosting the show. That's what we want. We want students and teachers and other administrators and people from our community to actually host a show. How's it feel being on the set today?
It's a lot different than it is in our school in the morning announcements, partially because we know that 70,000 people could be watching this show next week, but I don't know.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Okay. Anything, Allison? Anything along that way? No. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Let me. I think about where you may be going to college here in this next year. How did you get your first taste of broadcasting or TV production? How did you find that interest?
Brett and I were luckily placed in a very small public speaking class, and all the classes were a lot larger than ours were, so we always had extra time. So
Sure.
our class got to get oriented with cameras and video and stuff when we were juniors. So when we were seniors, we knew we wanted to take the class.
Great. Where do you go from here? Communications major?
I'm not really sure what I want to do with the rest of my life. I was accepted into the University of Pittsburgh and Penn State University. I applied both to the Division of Undergraduate Studies, so I'm pretty much keeping my options open for now and going to see where my education takes me.
That's fine.
I will be going to Penn State University, and I think Brett and I both contemplated going into communications as a major. I think either communications or English. I think
Those were the two I looked at.
Yeah.
But I also looked at pharmacy too, so
Well,
two opposite sides of the spectrum.
You're both young. There are many options out there, and I know that you're two fine, young, bright graduates to be of Armstrong School District. So keep the options open. I was just curious about the communications aspect as to whether you might be looking in that field. So everybody has a vocation and an avocation. So keep that in mind.
Maybe I'd lean towards the journalist side of communications. I'm not a tech savvy person at all, and I think that's one of the advantages of having a large class.
Sure.
Our TV production class is very large. I think we have, what, Allison, 22 students?
There's a lot.
That is a large
And
class.
that's a big advantage because you have some kids that are good with the camera work, you have some kids that are good with fixing the kinks with technical equipment, and other kids that are good speakers. So
Sure.
it's a cooperative effort. Like
You complement one another, and the largeness of the class, I think, indicates that there's really a great program, and it will continue to grow, and that the interest is obviously there. Let's go back to a few more specifics about filming. When you take a look at various projects that you've done, how do you analyze in TV production class?
Well, one of our assignments was taping 3 hours of a particular section of TV, like reality, drama, news, and stuff like that. You analyze the camera angles, the lighting, the music, everything to see if everything fits together. You analyze the commercials to see if those commercials fit the intended audience for the program.
That's good. You want to add anything to that, Brett?
Well, when I used to watch TV, it was simply for entertainment. But now, I don't try to do it, but it's just inevitable that I analyze it, and I analyze the show, and you realize how much work's really put into putting a film together, and it's just the camera angles and how the cameraman sets up the shot. The cameraman, although he doesn't get a lot of credit, deserves it because that's basically what supports the success of the film.
You have to have a good eye and understand what you're shooting and what you're looking for. In that sense, what you just both said, in analyzing TV productions, how do you think commercials or TV in general may persuade or influence the viewer?
The media has a very profound effect on every individual, whether you know it or not. The commercials are always geared towards the intended audience of the program, so if you like a show, that show is going to reflect your interest and your likes, and they persuade you that way.
So they're very conscientious
Very,
of the
very
viewer, and
conscious.
that's why commercials are so successful with young people, in the sense of they can be good or they can be bad,
Right.
as far as that influence. You see it the same way, Brett?
Yeah, I agree that media is by far the most powerful tool in our society right now.
See, I think that's where, just to add to that, and I'll ask a question, but I think that's where we are with our AHS-TV. It just isn't broadcasting a program. We truly want it to be an educational experience. We want to build on the TV production and broadcasting classes and how it ties to true public speaking, because I think that today, two of the most important tools for any young person is to have outstanding oral and written communication skills. And so this gives us an opportunity to offer those opportunities for our students. Let me just ask this as we begin to wrap it up. When we talk about learning technology and equipment, and also the broadcasting side as well as the public speaking side, what do you feel is most rewarding for you in this whole makeup of experiences that you have had with TV production? What side do you like the most?
We have gained an enormous amount of knowledge about this subject, and I think one of the most rewarding things is we're in a class where we have the greatest chemistry of any class I've ever been in. We're the best of friends, and I don't think I could ask for anything more in a class.
No, it's a very rewarding class.
I've seen this now on 2 occasions. I saw the Ford students work together, work extremely well together, and today I've had the opportunity to see the Katanning High School students work together, and it's just been very, very rewarding for me, because I know our school board's been very supportive of the initiative, as well as our administration and school district in general. So it's all coming together, and it's just a great learning experience for everyone. We're going to wrap this up, and I want to thank Allison for joining us today with Education Today, and also Brett. I wish you well, both in college. Congratulations on your acceptance letters, and best wishes for the future. We're now going to have some footage around the Armstrong School District to show you how other TV production students have been working so hard to produce this TV program.
There are a lot of things about this class I love. I think one of the great things about it, which should be about anything about education, is it opens up another avenue for kids, something they never would have seen before. With the equipment that we have here, we started with a screenplay that was pretty basic, and the kids learned from that because of the generosity of our student council here. We were able to come up with a higher grade and a much nicer equipment that they can do so much more with. And the basics they learned on a screenplay, they apply to this and just take it to a totally new level.
I like having a small group of girls. There's 5 of us, and we all put in the same amount of time and work, and it's hard, but everything seems to get done.
And we've become a lot more creative together, and we're much better at working together than we were at the beginning. We've come up with some really great ideas.
We all have different ideas of how something should look, but in the end it all comes together and it looks really well. Like with this PSSA video, like it's nothing like we'd planned for it to start out, but like it's developed into something that's like a really good end product.
Definitely. I'm going to look into taking it as a minor, definitely.
I'm Scott Mummer. I'm a junior at Ellerton.
Jim Miller, junior at Elderton.
And we use this machine here to edit movies we make and use it for school programs.
With my friend, we did an interview. We added titles, credits, put a few effects in between, and added some music in the background.
The kids are really excited about going to the middle school to do this project and produce our own TV show. Just as of late, we did a memorial for Josh Nichols, one of our students who died from our school, and it was seen by Dr. Kerr and most of the staff of the high school, and they liked it very much, and we gave a copy to his parents. We also just finished a drug and alcohol commercial, anti-smoking commercial, that we did for Mr. Burns, and he just received that 2 or 3 days ago. And we're doing things like that as well. Currently we are doing editorials, and the students are picking a controversial subject and they're talking about it as if they were editorial speakers on television.
My name's Taylor Ritchie. I'm from West Shamokin High School. I'm in a TV production class. It's new this year. It's the first year we've ever done it. And I think it's really cool because I want to be on TV someday. I'm an actor, you know.
Well, that's our show for today. This month, Katanning High School students did a great job as today's crew. A big thanks to all of our students and their teacher, Mr. Ed Bauer. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District and how we are on the move, working with the community for you and your children. Until next time, have a safe and enjoyable week.